Imagine you can go back in your life and look at documented thoughts that you had, whether it be in the greatest times of your life or the worst times of your life. And I ironically stumbled upon a documentation of 17 months during probably the hardest time in business and in life that I created as a newsletter. I completely forgot about this. I did it for 16 months. And I only released these letters to my coaching students. It kind of went behind the scenes of what I'm thinking, where I think the business is going, my story, the struggles, my family, money. Matter of fact, the newsletter was called Money Mindset. And I charged for it for my coaching students, not a lot, a couple bucks, $7 or $12, I don't remember. And I was searching for something in my Google Docs, and I ran into that folder. And I'm like, oh my God, I have literally a documented thought process and things that I was going through during that time. And I want to share it with you guys. I want to share these 16 newsletters. Now, some of them, when I read them, go 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So I'm going to split these up. I'm going to start with the first one. And I know I have 5 more funnels to post on this channel. Ironically, I was away last week and I scheduled them to go out every other day in 2025, in November and December of 2025. So I'll start posting those back again. But I wanted to kind of split up these with, because I found this and it motivated me to do this video. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the first newsletter that I wrote. It was September of 2020. Everybody knows what kind of time that was. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it to you guys. And if you actually think that you might get some sort of value out of what I'm saying in these, by the way, I haven't read them. So I'm literally going, meaning I don't remember what I said in these. And so I'm going to actually read each one today. It's going to be September 2020. And I hope, I hope when I read them, I don't share too much things that I shouldn't be sharing. But that was the whole point of them anyway. So I'll just blindly read them and not remember what I wrote. It's a good, by the way, when I was writing these, tons of people were telling me how good they were. So I'll take it for what it is. I think that you guys will enjoy them. It's a good break in the monotony of posting about SMA and agency and stuff like that. But there is a lot of golden nuggets in these about the coaching business, about agency business, about where I think the economy is going, what I think the next 4 years will be, how to protect your money, how to become wealthy, and everything in between. So you're going to get a whole bunch of stuff with this. I have no idea what I'm going to even title this video, and I have no idea what thumbnail I'm going to make. But let's just jump in and let's just do it and see what happens. So if you enjoy this, make sure you comment down below. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read this, but you guys can read along with me as well. And I guess I could put a link to this if anybody even wants to download it. So my thought process here, the reason why I did this was 2020 was a tough time for a lot of people, and this was my way of, our business was not doing good at all. Okay, as you can imagine, we're selling an opportunity to build an SMMA business or an agency business with businesses that were closed and struggling and had no money. And so I spent the first 7 months trying to figure out where do we go from here. And so this one, I believe, is because it was my first one. I kind of tell people my actual story, what happened in March of 2020, kind of what we were thinking, and a lot of other things, I think. I have no idea. All right, so I'm just going to jump into this. I'm going to read it, and let's go from there. And if you guys like it, comment down below. All right, so here we go. So this is September of 2020. I was working in my backyard pulling weeds and spring cleaning after our event in March of 2020. We had an event in San Diego. I remember thinking how well the event went. We had 250 plus people there, and how spoiled everything felt once COVID came. My brother-in-law shows up with golf shoes on and asks if I wanted to squeeze in a round of golf before the world shuts down. And apparently he was Nostradamus, because I didn't see a lockdown coming at all. As I was pulling out these weeds and listening to his voice ask me to play, I could only think about one thing: money. And it's all I ever think about, to be honest, and not in a greedy way. It's more of a worry way. See, growing up, I watched my father Penny pinches way to financial freedom, which in today's world isn't really what is being taught. We aren't taught much, if anything at all. And the people who that we follow on social media portray the immature nature of young and money. And still, to this day, that holds true. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to bore you with those details. Hint, hint, Lamborghinis, blah, blah, blah. In this issue, I want to speak to the heart of why you chose to get into the agency business. And I truly want to press upon you that solely running your agency is not going to and should never be your end goal. Big reveal there. It's important to speak to those who truly want those things you came on that initial phone call for our coaching program, your wants and desires, and to those who want to understand how to get them. Building a business in any business will not get you to those goals and dreams without sacrificing freedom. Yeah, I said it, but it goes much deeper than those words. So keep on reading or listening. This business is a stepping stone to more greatness, and you won't ever hear me say that in our live streams. Why? It's simple. Most of the time, people aren't ready to hear that because they believe this is the end all be all. And my friends, in this issue or all the issues, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know. You may not see the how now, and building this business should be your primary focus, but when you can understand the journey and evolution that is involved with money, it will open up your eyes to things you never thought possible, investing, things like that. I was fortunate enough to buy an SEO course in 2014, and I never really unveiled what that journey looked like and why building an agency was just the start of so much more. When I say more, I mean way more. More along that journey and more in the future. If you look back at your life and you dive deep into the history of your upbringing, you will find patterns that are instilled in your brain. Patterns with your husband or wife, girlfriend or boyfriend, or even amongst your friends. Patterns you may not have noticed, and as you get older, you start to act like your parents, or at the very least have these moments where you're like, oh my God, I sound like my mother or father. Recognizing these things are crucial for growth, and understanding where you are in life is as simple as looking back into your upbringing. For me, I grew up with a very stingy father and a mother who spent all her teaching salary every time she got paid. She never touched my father's money, but she sure as heck spent all of hers. I went to college, became a teacher, hated spending money, was on my way to living my father's life, and I effing hated it. I'm a complete carbon copy of both my parents, the good and the bad, and I bet you are too. Now, I was lucky enough to recognize these patterns very early in my 20s, and I made a conscious effort to break them. I knew if I continued as is, I would end up being in education for 40 years with a 401k and inheriting millions from my father's properties when he would die. A lot of people don't know this about me, but my father has a lot of properties. Some may believe a predicted life, like I explained above, sounds amazing, but hear me out. My grandfather, he's passed away since I wrote this. He was 99, so it was 2 years after this. 97, my grandmother passed away at 91. My father will be here on this earth for many years. And as I grow older, got a family or started a family, I started to think about his death. And I'm going to dive deeper into this way of thinking in the future issues of this money mindset. Now, I've never revealed these thoughts to anyone before, but it's very important for my point to be driven home, not only this issue, but future issues. It is crucial to understand the thoughts people think, and it is okay to have selfish, bad thoughts once in a while, as long as those are not the norm. I actually know exactly what I'm talking about here. In 2009, I borrowed $100,000 from my father to buy into my best friend's family sporting goods store. The opportunity came, and I wanted to break the pattern of a job for 40 years. It was the only reason I chose to do this. I forced myself to break this job pattern, but it was very carefully planned out to minimize my risk. I knew the numbers, and I knew at the very least I could pay my father back, as well as the $400,000 I owed to Frank Sr. in 8 years for purchasing the store, who was the owner of that. Stories like this makes me realize the opportunity that all of you have, even in today when I'm reading this, about getting involved in the agency business. I had to fork over $500,000, get into debt, worry every night. And you guys are able to get involved for free, essentially, or if you want the support and coaching, a couple $1,000s with no overhead to ever worry about. And so April of 2009, I started my endeavor of the sporting goods store. I knew nothing about this business, but I was smart enough to know that everything needs a process. Everything from sales to shipping to customer service and more. It was a mom and pop shop for 40 years, and there was no organization. I immediately came in asking my buddy what the biggest complaint was when his father was running things. He began to tell me all about the lost orders, not having enough things in stock, wrong name and numbers on jerseys when we were pressing them, and time that it took to complete these orders. To me, that was just organization. Now, I won't get into organization this issue, but I will in the future. It took me a year to systemize every aspect of this business and get it to running to about 80% of its capacity. In 2008, this company did 750,000, 2009, 1.1, 2010, 1.4, and in 2011, before I sold it, it was 1.7. All we did was systemize the business. We didn't hire more salespeople or actively get more business. We just organized and systemized. Orders were getting done faster, so people were ordering more. Customers were happy, so they referred people to us. And I actively started increasing prices so we didn't look cheap. And even though we weren't the least expensive, customers knew that they wouldn't have any issues with their order. Fast forward to the summer of 2011, I literally weighed 150 pounds, down from 180 in the winter. It was very tough. I was working 7 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day, while my pregnant wife with my first child sat home alone in a town she knew nobody in. I was never home, and when I was, I could barely speak because I was exhausted. Our business that we systemized grew too fast, and we didn't know how to hire properly. We were doing everything ourselves, screen printing until 2 a.m., pressing numbers on shirts sometimes all night, and sleeping 2 hours only to repeat it again. I was burnt out and exhausted. I made a drastic decision in 2011, one I look back on and still get chills of what could have been versus what happened. I will dive deep into this next month and explain why I did what I did and how important it was to learn a lesson I will never forget. A lesson that taught me how to do 20 million in 3.5 years. Money and time. It's the same as oil and water. If it takes you time to make money, then you're never going to make enough to have freedom. If every new client adds 2 to 3 hours a week of work, then at some point you're going to hit a ceiling. It might be 10 clients or 20 clients. When you learn to remove the contingency of time from money, that is where true financial freedom can be achieved. And isn't that why you started this business in the first place? I'm going to end this issue now. I might be 40 years old. To be 40 again. And I may have achieved a lot more than most at that age. And it's my failures that I learned most from, failures that you should learn from. It was my shortcomings, my mistakes that I made when I was broke, and almost catastrophic mistakes I made when I had so much money, I completely lost myself. These issues will be my life, other successful entrepreneurs' lives, and all the lessons that come from their stories, advice, actions, and failures. The issue is to set a framework for so much more advice I can give here that I really can't give in public, although now I am. I will bring you into my world, my business partner's world, the world of hundreds of millions of dollars generated online, millions in real estate purchases, stock market fumbles, and advice from very successful people. It will be ongoing, and as we encounter new things in our business, new ideas from successful people, new failures, you will read about it. You'll find out why we scaled back our ad spend in August of 2020, first time we ever did since starting our coaching program, and what we are doing to fix the issues. You will find out what we are testing, and what has worked and what has not. You will hear about the ins and outs of our numbers and understand the structure of our business. You'll probably laugh and cry and celebrate. You'll become better. It's the world I've held back, but the world I want to share, and it's time. I hope you take this journey with me. Oh, so I guess it was $7 a month. I can promise you with action, the advice given in these issues won't explode your agency, but it will explode your money mindset. And until next month, be great, be strong, and model those a step ahead of you. So I think this is pretty cool. Like, it's bringing me back memories of what I actually was feeling back then. I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of deep diving. Not an easy time. And so here we are, right? I can look back, September of 2020, 4 years later in September of 2024. I mean, this is December now. And we're still thriving. And so at that time in moment, I was thinking to go back and get a job. And so the industry has changed. AI has came out. GoHighLevel was a big feeder of income for us. Yeah. And so I hope you guys can learn the lessons, the good and the bad. I mean, most people like to share all of their successes, but you're going to hear in these from what I can remember, a lot of failures and what you can learn from them. Comment down below, like this video, share this video if you think what I read is important for people to listen to. And that this one was just my story. We'll get more deeper into actual action steps you could take and just in business and life and money. But if you guys don't feel like you're getting any value out of it, I won't post October's issue of 2020. Hit me up, let me know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.